You've got it. You've got all the information. Oh, goodness me, and a very good morning, and welcome to this week's edition of SAPeople.com's podcast with me, Melanie Walker in Johannesburg, and Jenni Baxter sitting in Antibes in France. Are you feeling a bit cold? It looks like you're wearing something warm there.
I know I'm a little bit chilly today. The sun's shining, but it's weak. You're very hot right now, aren't you?
Well, thank you very much, darling. I didn't expect that from you.
Always hot.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, my walks are getting earlier in the morning because it just gets too hot. And especially as we still have had no rain. And it's past Paul Kruger's birthday. So, we haven't had rain yet. And I don't know when we're going to be getting. I know some people got excited because they had like 3 drops. We had nothing at my house. Nothing at all. But anyway,
Hey, you know what happened here last night?
No, I don't.
That reminded me. I think what we're about to go through is all our street lights were off, except for like in main places. So like in the town square, the lights were on, but all our residential streets, the lights were off for the first time ever. And I've been here for over 10 years, so I think that must be part of our kind of semi-load shedding. Yeah. Exciting.
Our lights stay on when there's load shedding, that's for sure.
Your what?
Our street lights stay on for some reason.
Oh.
But ours, load shedding, it's just messing up all the infrastructure. Let's not go into that. At least I think we're back at level 2 from this evening or something. Not quite sure. Well, I think we're at level 2.
Yes, you're level
only
2
from
for
4
the
o'clock
week.
in the afternoon.
Yes,
who
till
knows?
midnight.
The power goes out, the whole group gets onto the WhatsApp group for the whole street, and like, is everybody out? Yes, okay, we haven't come back on. And then I go on a mission. They like me in my area because I mission around to find the city power people to make sure that everything's back on again.
Oh, brilliant.
Yep,
Brilliant.
that's the way it goes.
You know what I have loved this week, but also a little bit sad, is the South African humor. So there was something you just said triggered me, and I've forgotten what it was. But but there was a thing about potholes that I don't know if you saw the video. This woman and her husband are driving along a road in South Africa, and the whole thing is dodging potholes, and you see everybody driving around, and it's actually quite awful. And people said it's more a tragedy than a comedy, and people have lost their lives because of these potholes.
Yeah.
But for some people, it just does help to laugh a little, avoid the potholes, don't drive too fast in those areas. And then there were 2 other very South African things that I just thought were classic this week. The one was a lady, we think it's in Sun City, and she's in her hotel room, and there's a baboon eating stuff out of her kitchen. And she just turns to it and she goes, "Please go out." And the baboon promptly gets up and walks out and goes and sits on the balcony. And then the other one that we posted was taken in the Kruger, and it's a monkey this time. And it's just like all of us. It's trying to lift the lid of the rubbish bin.
Oh, yes, I've seen that, yeah.
And get stuff out the bin at the same time, and the bin lid keeps
on hitting
closing.
on her head. Oh, no, I can relate to that from the point of view.
I go through that with my front door, yeah.
I can't get my gate to get my car out open because there's a thing that's supposed to pull it down, but it won't stay down, and then I can't stretch and hold this down and kick my leg.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. So when there's load shedding, we go and move cars outside before we get no electricity, because it's just a mission to get cars out. But I mean, yeah, it is one of those things. I mean, I think people would laugh at us doing these weird things, but take a little bit of a break from it. Otherwise, it's better for your mental health to be happy than to be sad.
Exactly. And it's been a big mental health week with Monday was World Mental Health Day. And I don't know if you saw on Sunday, we posted some stunning photos from Cape Town. It's the oldest kite festival in Africa, the Cape Town International Kite Festival, and it's run to raise awareness for mental health and to raise funds for Cape Mental Health, which is an amazing organization that runs services for free. And then there's a South African singer-songwriter, Majosi. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
He just, we posted the video. He just said some amazing things about, how tough it's been in South Africa trying to keep these things to yourself when you're feeling down, and how, there's nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be embarrassed about, and seek this help. It's there for free. It's a human right. And then another one that, actually I was crying reading it, is Chad Leclos, South Africa's swimmer, the golden boy, the legend and everything. He did an interview with Olympics.com about the mental health issues that he's had. And he doesn't yet want to talk about it, but something happened in 2020 or 2021, before Tokyo, before the Olympics.
Yeah.
Something happened to him that was even worse than his mom and dad getting cancer, he says. And his mental health just plummeted. And he tried to keep it in, and he said, he'd be in the shower and he'd be thinking, well, if I just died, it wouldn't really matter. And he said, when he had that thought, he realized, I need help, because friends had said to him, you seem a bit down, you need help. And he kept resisting, because he said, it's the South African way. South African men are brought up to be tough, and cowboys don't cry, kind of thing. And he actually did cry. He said he was in Europe and he phoned his ex-girlfriend one night and just found himself just crying. Anyway, since he's sought help, his mental health is on the, and it's a work in progress all the time, but he could not encourage it more. So it's a really heartbreaking but beautiful interview, because it's just so honest.
Well, I think that anybody who's got mental health issues, even if you don't know that you have them, if you just think, it's just a little bit depressed, seasonal affective disorder or whatever, it is best to go and get some help. It really is.
Yeah.
You need to do that. Anyway, so mental health is the way to go. Get yourself healthy.
Good mental health.
Good mental health.
Yeah.
Good Mel health. Sorry. No, I've been I can relate to, people sit and think, oh, you're a sunshine girl, no issues. But over the years, man, I've been in some situations where it's just been such a battle, even just to get up in the morning. So I've worked on it and working on it more. So what else have we got going?
Well, for expats around the world, great news on your passports. They are about to triple in price from the 1st of November. So all passports are going up in South Africa. So currently they're 400 Rand. For South Africans, they're going up to 600 Rand. For people abroad, they're going up to 1,200 Rand. And this is because it turns out that the government has been subsidizing them all this time. And the government's just suddenly realized that anybody who can afford to travel abroad should be able to afford to pay a little bit more for their passports and not be subsidized. And it turns out as well, they did a study, and South Africa has a price was like a third of the average price around the world. So those are going up. Also, look out for President Ramaphosa coming to a country near you. He, in the next couple of months, he'll be visiting Egypt, Kenya, Spain, and of course, he has been invited by Prince Charles III to the UK at the end of November.
Charles. King Charles.
I said King Charles III.
You said Prince.
Oh, I did. Thanks, Melle. I'm glad one of us is listening.
Sorry, Prince, you're not a king. You're back to Prince again. He's a prince of a man.
So yeah, he'll be there. And then if you're in Germany next week, Chad Leclos, who we were just talking about, and Matt Sates are going to be in Berlin for the FINA, I don't know how to pronounce it, FINA World Cup. So it's the beginning of it all again. I don't know if you remember last year, Matt, at only the age of 18, won the whole overall World Cup series. So he's actually been put into the Elite 8 this year, along with some other swimmers from around the world. So there'll be a lot of focus on him, which is amazing at 19. And what other news can I tell you, Mel? I bumped into a South African last week, or just a couple of days ago, actually. I was walking on the Cap. So this is Cap d'Antibes. And where a lot of people stayed during the Cannes Film Festival and everything. And I bumped randomly into a South African. Her name's Janine. She lives in California, but she has a holiday home here in Antibes. And she was saying just how, out of the whole world, Cap d'Antibes makes her feel more at home than anywhere else. Just
Really?
because so, and I don't think I've taken you on the Cap, so you have to come back. Because it's just got a lot of similar vegetation and homes, and I suppose because the homes have walls as well in that particular area, and maybe that's also what reminds her.
So it's like Cape Town.
Yes, and it is. I mean, that's what Cape means, Cape, and it's got similar vegetation to the Cape. That those white rocks around the coastline and everything. But I just thought of a lot of expats. She raises money in the US for Starfish Great Hearts Foundation.
Yes.
Which, if ever you're sitting anywhere in the world thinking, oh, I wish I could do something to help South Africans back home, you can host a dinner. And then, everybody who comes to your dinner pays a certain amount of money, and that goes to Starfish. And as they say, every single starfish that gets saved is one more getting saved. So, except these are actual children, not starfish that get saved.
The starfish don't have brains.
Don't they? Sounds like I don't either today.
So we're just the starfish girls today. Okay.
Yeah. You be the star, I be the fish. And, Mel, talking about us not having brains, remember last week we were talking about Andy Burkett, and he had just won the World Canoe Marathon title. And you said, not good enough unless he's won the doozy. Do you remember?
Has he won the doozy?
He's not only won it, he's won it more times than anybody. Eight times in a row last year. This year he won again. He's now won it 12 times. So
he's a bit of a mensch, eh?
Yes. And him and Bridget Hartley, who's also amazing women's canoe marathoner, they both won the Fish River canoe marathon this weekend. So congrats to them, and we'll never forget now, Andy is the doozy dude.
The doozy dude.
Yeah.
Okay. And what other news have you got from expats around the world?
A fantastic news for South Africa, although a lot of people aren't that happy with it, but South Africa just got elected into the United Nations Human Rights Council. So it's yeah, it's something that different countries are elected every 3 years, and you can never be elected twice, more than twice. So 6 years altogether. And they can't make decisions, but they can instigate investigations into human rights issues around the world. So I mean, it's a great privilege for South Africa to be part of it, and it's just
Let's
a lot
hope
of people.
they use it wisely.
Yes, I'm sure they will. And then on the fun stuff is, I'm not sure if you saw, but London Underground really got in on Jeremy Loops, the South African Cape Townian singer. He was over at, I think you would know it as the Hammersmith Odeon.
Yes.
But it's
where I
now
met Thomas
called...
Dolby and Steve Strange. Yes.
Yes. It's now called Eventum Apollo.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jeremy played there on Thursday, I think, and London Underground at Hammersmith put up this fantastic sign saying, "Heard you got the love," and you're heading to Eventum to see Jeremy, which of course is the name of his album. And then they ended it with "Have a Lacquer Night."
Lacquer night.
Yeah, "Have a Lacquer Night."
Interestingly, I must tell you, where
yeah.
we first saw him was he just started. It was up here in Johannesburg. My twins were probably about 5 years old at the time.
And so about 15 years ago, 12-ish years ago.
Yeah, about that. And they used to have the Rosebank Market at the mall and in the parking at the mall on a Sunday, which is still there, but not as big as it used to be. And they have performers who will come and do things there. And he was sitting there. There weren't that many people. I think it was in winter. And he's sitting right where we were, like getting something to eat. and he started with his whole thing. It was just him with all of these bits and pieces, and he started doing this, and my girls were absolutely fascinated. They went over and stood in front of him and just watched him he was great, and that was the first time I ever saw him play, and I'm so proud that he's gone on so much further from playing at the Rosebank Market to the Hammersmith Odeon.
I know. I mean, even for him, he's so proud. Like he said, when London Underground recognizes you, you've made it. And he said that the first time he went to London, he played for 34 people, including himself, his manager, and the barman.
His family.
Yeah. And he said he cycled past the Odeon then, and thought, wow, imagine being one of those people who cycles past, who plays here. And last week he went with some very special people in his life, and cycled past again, to just go, wow, gratitude. I am one of those people now.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about the bands that I saw playing at the Hammersmith Odeon, was including Weather Report, which was great. Saw Kenny G's first performance in England. That was quite bizarre, because I mean, I wasn't there to see Kenny G. It was him, Dave Valentin, Angela Bofil, and then the person who I went to go and see, of course, was Stanley Clarke, the great bass player. So there's been some incredibly huge names playing there. And I also saw Santana, I think, there. And
I think I gave you the tickets.
Yes, and I went to sleep. Remember, I went to sleep during one of the guitar solos, because it was very long. So, I mean, that's like esteemed company to be actually performing in a place like that.
Oh, totally. And on the South African front, I once went there and went backstage because it was Mango Groove. So we had a party backstage, which was divine.
Well, Mango Groove played this weekend in Zimbabwe.
Oh, did they? Oh, yeah. Claire must have loved that. Well, they all must have loved that.
She's put it all over Facebook. I mean, you actually just go and have a look on the Facebook page and put it up onto SAPeople for the people that love Mango Groove.
I will. Thank you. Let me write that down.
Oh, and on that note as well,
yeah.
Elemental have just announced that they're going to be playing a couple of gigs down in Cape Town, I think in November. The actual band. So Herman, the drummer, is coming out from Germany. Okay, he's coming out. Adrian Levi is going to go back onto bass as well. He lives still in Johannesburg, but the actual band is going to be together again, not just Tim and Heather, which is really lovely.
Divine. And talking bands, did you see the brilliant Foreigner concert in Pretoria this week?
Okay, so that's interesting, because I only found out about it the day after they'd played. No,
you've got to read SAPeople more often.
Yeah, I'm really upset. I'd love.
Or you should get our newsletter. Get our newsletter, and then you'll always know what's going on.
How do I get your newsletter, Jenny?
Go onto the website and fill in the form, or send me a personal email. But Mel, apparently Benji was there, Benji Moody, who's been on our podcast before, and is the music maestro of South Africa. And he said it was just amazing. They belted out those hits so professionally. He said just to have that class again, And then I think one of the most beautiful things of the concert is that St. John's College Choir was live on stage with Foreigner. So, I mean, how inspiring is that for the kids? So
that's really, really cool, yeah.
I'm
really sad that I missed it. I've been busy sorting out people's, electricity issues and trying to stop people from watering their gardens during the day because we're in level 2 water restrictions and, all of that kind of stuff.
But policewoman. Policewoman! Did you see the cutout policeman down in Flouberg? and I've since done research, and there are cutout policemen all over the world now. Yeah. And they really make a difference. Apparently, apart from like in Bloberg, it's to make traffic slow down because they think there's a policeman filming them. But down in over in Canada, I think, or the US, they also use them in shops because they put a policeman in the window and then the kids are too scared to go in and steal stuff.
Yeah. But there's only one thing wrong with the one down in Bloberg.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody, an Umlungu, actually manning a speed trap for years.
You have not? Because some people said they have.
I haven't, not for years. Maybe in the Cape it's different.
Because I did notice, I mean, it's awful that it should even be noticed, the color of people's skins who are doing certain jobs. But I noticed with all the photographs recently of all those guns all those rifles that were found from the illegal miners. It was a very mixed
Bunch of people, yeah.
bunch of police, yeah, and a lot more white people than I thought, had been led to believe, yeah. But that is interesting. I don't know why they chose him, because I think you can send off who you want, because he had a South African uniform on,
yes,
and the other cutouts in the other countries have their local colours on
as well.
Yeah.
And was there a metro? They must have a cutout of a metro van as well, because it's the metro police that are the ones that are doing that. And
that's clever, yeah.
yeah, usually they've got to be hiding behind a bush. Oh, talking about bushes. Sheesh,
I know, that was the giveaway for most people, is they say, we know it's not real because he's not hiding.
Yeah, he's not hiding. Tell you what, at the moment, I know that so many people here in Johannesburg are really battling with allergies, with everything being in flower. I mean, the smell of Johannesburg at the moment, even though we haven't had any rain, it's just been absolutely fantastic. I mean, you're walking underneath the syringas, although they're just going over, but that's one of the biggest allergy triggers. The star jasmines coming out madly. The fever trees are smelling divine as well, that honey scent. I mean, for those of you who... That is the smell of the bushveld, the smell of the acacia flowers. Sorry, we're not allowed to call them acacias. What can we say? Vachelias or...
Former acacias.
Yeah, well, we call them acacias, what the hell. But the jacarandas, interestingly, also now out in full colour. So if people haven't been studying by now, or they've left it way too late for the trick. And the jacarandas are starting to look absolutely wonderful. But I saw you had a picture there, and I was looking and thinking, how do they get such a clear picture? Because the air in Johannesburg is like kind of fuzzy. So I look and I think, I'd love to take a picture of that, but the air hasn't got that nice quality to it. There's no sharpness. It feels like blurry.
Fuzzy.
Like that person who was always out of focus in Woody Allen's movie.
But so why is it fuzzy? Is that a pollution or a climate or?
Because the air's got lots of dust in it, and it's just a lot of pollution. So it isn't as sharp. So there must have been a lot of photoshopping going on with that picture.
Because we've got more today. I mean, it was a beautiful pinky purpley hue she had given to it, because you could see the clouds in the sky were all pink and purple as well. But we've got a lot on today as well, because you cannot believe the demand. The more we put on, the more requests we get. Like, please post
pictures
more.
of jacaranda?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think they just connect everybody with home. But the ones we've put on today have not been photoshopped. The air looks pretty clear. They were taken 2 or 3 days ago. There's a lot. Look
I'll
and
take a
see.
picture and I'll send it to you. Okay, I'll go
Okay,
down my favorite jacaranda
Your hazy
road in
road.
Linden, the hazy road in Linden, and you'll see the Charlotte Matreke hospital in the background. That's a road that I go down, but it just looks kind of like blurred,
Grungy.
and it's not my eyes. Okay. Okay.
Just could be.
All right. So what else have we got that has come across your desk?
Well, of the photos, Andrea Ben took, she takes a lot of the photos for us, and she got a stunning photo of the moon behind a tree. So you could see it through the branches, whatever.
Yes.
And, there's pretty big news. People have known it for a while, but a study just got published this week, so it's making news around the world, that the moon's actually drifting away from us, from planet Earth, by about 3.8 centimeters a year. And it's been doing so for 2.5 billion years. Just slowly drifting away.
It's just slowly drifting out into space.
Yeah. I saw a BBC article from about 10 years ago where they said it was to do with the tides of the ocean. But in this latest article, they mentioned about how they can see it all by these rocks, and some of the rocks are actually in South Africa, in near Kuruman. It's sort of these iron-laden rocks, and and that's how they can tell how far the moon is moving.
Okay, that's
Because it
interesting. I'll
affects
have
the
to look into
climate.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've also got you've got a video of dolphins forcing a great white shark out. Yeah, I saw that. Somebody else had sent that to me as well, and I was like, are they looking after the shark because there's maybe some orcas coming around that might want to eat its liver?
No.
Or are they just hassling it?
No, they're hassling it. Apparently, dolphins often do hassle sharks. Apparently, a dolphin snout is really strong, like a bone. It's bone. And then they hit the underside of the shark, which is a soft sort of underbelly. No, but there was a shark attack, a terrible, fatal shark attack. 2 weeks ago in Plettenberg Bay,
as well.
And this was in and this was in the same area, and these dolphins were moving the shark away. And there's a lot of documented stories about dolphins doing this. I think they eat the same food, and so it's just a way of saying, "Oi, out of here, mate. This is our spot."
Not necessarily
Posy.
protecting humans. Yeah.
No,
Okay,
no.
And this judge in Makanda.
Oh, I just thought for something a little different. Quite interesting to see. You know, there have been a lot of attacks since 2015 on Cape, the long distance bus.
Yes.
I've forgotten what he's called. But Johan Ferreira, I think, is the CEO of that bus company. They have been attacked so many times since 2015. A driver was even murdered. They've been bribed to go different ways, to drop their prices, all these kind of things. They've opened 150 criminal cases, and they have just been ignored. And finally, this judge in Makanda, so, last week we were talking about, what can you do? This CEO just did not give up. And finally, a judge last week said that the transport minister has to make it safer. It's like he's been ordered to make it safer. And him and the MEC, not that I know what an MEC is.
An MEC is the person who kind of oversees a specific portfolio.
Okay.
A minister of something or the other.
Okay.
It's the person. It's the Groot Kop. That's the person, right?
Okay. I wonder what we used to call them, because I really don't like MEC. Anyway, they have to come up with an action plan by the end of the month. I think it's called Intercape, perhaps, the bus.
The Intercape,
yeah. They have to come up with an action plan to make it safer for Intercape to run, which is just brilliant.
Okay, and quickly before we see what's coming up on the show next week, or not on the show, on the website next week, what have we got in the form of entertainment which people can watch overseas, which has anything to do with South Africa?
Expiry Date. It is a wonderful rom-com romantic comedy. It's in Zulu, but with English subtitles. And it's about two brothers who date various women, and until they reach their expiry date, until they actually fall in love. There's that. Then if you're in South Africa, and this is only for South Africans, Showmax Pro Sports Plan has been reduced to only $349, so that's a 22% reduction. Now's your time to get in advance of the World Cup that's coming up in Qatar later this year, next month.
World Cup of what?
Football.
Oh, okay. I don't follow football. You know that.
Okay,
I'm a rugby girl. I like rugby.
Okay.
I don't do soccer. Okay.
Okay. And
Right.
and then coming up next week,
what have you got next
is something really exciting for any South Africans. Well, coming up hopefully later today, for any South Africans in the United States or Canada. If you have a child who's between the ages of, I think, 15 and 25, check the details on SAPeople.com, between 15 and 25, who was born there in America or Canada, and has a parent or grandparent who is from South Africa. There's a TV show who wants to send you back to South Africa to reunite with your culture, your family. It's a trip of a lifetime, all expenses paid, but they will be filming you, and it'll be for this TV show.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. What's it called?
The TV show is called How I Got Here. And it's
Okay.
their second season. So they've already got people from other countries, and they really are looking for a South African story.
They took their cue, should I say, from Lewis Hamilton when he came out to come and find his roots. I know that's what happened. My favorite racing driver, not. Anyhow. Okay, Jenny, well, that's all of this.
Silly.
That's not all of the stuff that we've got on SAPeople.com. So do go along and check it out. And don't forget to send in your good news stories or your fantastic pictures. We love seeing what's happening. I'm sure the people around the world would love to see what's happening back home as well. And if you're, of course, overseas, then you can do the same. Say, we're having a lekker braai in the snow. Jenny, we'll catch up with you again next week. Take good care. And to the rest of you, just keep on smiling, guys. Smile and wave. Smile and wave.
Thanks, Mel. Au revoir. Bye.
Au revoir.